What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay. We had Emilio in here just a second ago. He'll be joining us shortly. You know how it is, Tim. He's always running behind.
Hey, that's all right though. He flies in right from the job site, right? Gets
That's
ready.
exactly
Sometimes he's on time, sometimes he's a little late. It's all good.
That's exactly right. Out there making that money, man. Making that money. And when you make that money, you can spend that money in a good spot. And that's with the good folks over at Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Wisconsin-based since 92, specializing in Packers tickets. They're Wisconsin's largest ticket source. They got offices next to Lambeau and in Milwaukee. You can click on the link in the video description. That'll send you over to their website, theticketking.com, where you can register for free as a customer. Go ahead and start shopping for Packer tickets. Again, that is Ticket King, the official ticket provider of Packer Fan Total Access Live. Tim, so tonight I'm expecting a light crowd, man. We got the Brewers playing this evening. We got Thursday night football on. And I still, it's like, should we just take the night off? No, can't do it, man. Got to get in here and talk some Packers, man. So
For sure.
Before we kind of get cranked up, is there anything on the forefront of your mind you want to hit on? I know we got a bunch of stuff to cover. How's Tim feeling this evening? What have you been diving into this week? What's on your mind, man?
Feeling great about this Packers team playing this banged up LA Rams team on Sunday. I feel like we got a chance to get right. Looks like it's going to be a good game. I mean, this is a winnable football game. We should go out and get that dub and bounce back against the Rams, although you can never count a team like that out. But they're primed to catch that L. So looking forward to that. Also saw a little glimpse of the injury report. I'm sure we'll get to that today as well. But looks like things are trending upward for the Packers in that department. So excited.
I think so, man. Give a shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the house. We got Greg Rice, Chris Ian, Prince is in the house, Chewy's in the house. We got Tim Reese, Mountain Man Pack, John Capel, or Capel maybe. I don't know. Let's see who else in here. Bates just chimed in. The president has entered the chat. Everybody sit up straight. All right, act cool. Just another celebrity in here. That's all. But now, so we got some practice updates, obviously. We'll start to dive into that here, and I'm hoping we got time. We'll start to look at the Rams game a little bit closer and kind of give you guys an idea of what they do good, maybe what they do not so good. But Wes Hawkins tweeted this out. Jaire Alexander with the groin, Kenny Clark with the toe, Elton Jenkins with the knee, all return for Thursday's padded practice. Luke Musgrave, Christian Watson, Devontae White, Edgerrin Cooper, who was on the bike, and Romeo Doubs were not participating today. Okay, so again, that was Wes Hawkins that tweeted this video out. Ja looks good here, Tim. I don't know if you can see this or not, but my man running around, catching passes, having a blast, bringing that energy like he always does. I think Jaire looks like he's probably going to play this Sunday. What do you think, man?
I think so too, and it's a good thing. We missed him certainly last week, no doubt about it. And like you said, man, it's not even just the technical aspect of the game, what he brings to the table. It's just he's a spark plug for this defense, man. He's a live wire. It fires guys up. You could tell there was a void out there on defense on Sunday without him. So it's good to see him moving well, and hopefully he'll play on Sunday.
Yeah, I think he's trending in that direction, man. I think he is going to play on Sunday. I really do. Excited to see him back in the lineup because, like you said, man, we really missed him. I think Carrington Valentine, too, it sounds like he's probably got a good chance of playing as well. Another practice update here. This came from Tom Silverstein. He said Jaire Alexander returns and is practicing in pads today. Only injured, not practicing, are Christian Watson, Luke Musgrave, Devontae White. So double confirmation there. He said, also, I missed this. Edgerrin Cooper with the hip took part in warmups but stayed inside. And Romeo Doubs, who practiced yesterday, stayed inside also. So everybody was like, oh, what's going on with Dobby here, right? And then we got an update a little bit later from Tom Silverstein, who says Packers coach Matt LaFleur said that Romeo Doubs' absence is due to personal reasons. He said they were taking it day by day as to whether he would be available Sunday against the Rams. Now, you guys know most of the time when you get personal reasons, a player missing, and you don't know if he's going to play that week. I don't want to speculate too much, but probably a family issue, obviously, something like that. So thoughts and prayers out to Rome. As we know, Josh Myers had to deal with some stuff earlier. Might not be in the same vein there, Tim, but I wouldn't be surprised if Romeo Doubs suits it up on Sunday too, man. He's that kind of guy. And who knows, man? We'll hopefully listen, if he wants the details out, they'll get out. And if
Right.
not, we don't need to try to dig too much. But something obviously going on there with Rome.
And we know it's serious, right? Whatever it is, because a guy like Rome isn't gonna use that as an excuse. If he's missing for personal reasons, there's clearly something going on. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers for sure. Hopefully he plays Sunday, but hey, there's things bigger than football, right?
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. And you could tell Romeo too. It sounds like he had kind of a tough upbringing, if I understood correctly. Yeah. And I think he's the type of player that leans on this team. You could tell he really cares about the guys, and the guys really care about him. I remember him going to bat for Jordan Love when it was real popular before he took his first snap as a starter in Green Bay. Everybody was, well, he's never going to be able to live up to be Aaron Rodgers and this and that in the shadow. And Rome's was just behind the mic every chance he got saying, Jay Love's my guy. So obviously they've worked out together for quite some time. Yeah, like I said, thoughts and prayers of Rome for whatever he's going through. When we look at the full injury report here, Tim, here's what we're looking at. All right, let's start at the top. Jair Alexander with the groin did not participate Wednesday. He was limited today. Kenny Clark did not participate with the toe on Wednesday, limited today. So obviously trending in the right direction. Edgerrin Cooper limited with the hip on Wednesday, did not participate today. So he had a slight setback, looks like. Romeo Dobbs, obviously personal reasons, did not participate. Jonathan Ford was limited both days. It sounds like there's a good chance he will be back in the fold here real soon. Elton Jenkins did not participate Wednesday. He returned today on a limited basis. Jordan Love, look at this, Tim. Limited Wednesday, full participation today. That's what you love to see, man.
LFG, as the kids say.
Exactly. Jordan Morgan limited on both days. Luke Musgrave did not participate both days with the ankle. Carrington Valentine was limited both days. Christian Watson did not participate. I think we all feel pretty comfortable saying Christian probably not going to play this week, and that's all right. Devontae Wyatt with the ankle too did not participate both days. So I think we're going to be without Christian Watson and Devontae Wyatt this week, Tim. Anything else stick out to you here other than, like we said, Jordan Love being full participation?
Yeah, nice to get Jonathan Ford hopefully coming off here and being available, especially if we're going to lose Devontae Wyatt even for a game or so. So, yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts. I'm with you, Clayton. I don't think Scoot's going to play on Sunday. And obviously with the depth we have in that receiver room, we can afford to let, Christian get that rest and hopefully heal up with that high ankle sprain. People hear that and they think, oh, it's just, ankle sprain. It's like, no, dude, those are real deal. Like those are no fun, extremely painful. So giving him a week of rest makes all the sense in the world. And then, yeah, obviously, I guess Edgerrin Cooper with the hip, this is something that he dealt with, I believe, during camp. He missed a lot of time during camp, and we didn't see a lot of preseason reps because he was dealing with hip issues. So the fact that he was limited on Wednesday and then, didn't participate today maybe means they're trying to get him ready to go on Sunday. Maybe they wanted to give him a day off. Him being on the exercise bike, that's a good thing. Clearly he's still got mobility, but definitely something to watch right there with our rookie linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I love it, dude. So Jason Y with the super chat. I'm going to come right back to it. Chris in response to it says, Jason Y, Kick Talks cost $10 there, buddy. No. So thank you for the super chat, Jason. You're the man. He said, according to Jason Wilde, Matt Orzik noticed on Nardison misses that his plant foot is too wide and caused all the misses to go right. Actually, thank you for bringing this up, Jason. I heard this exact conversation earlier. Let me drop this injury report down for a second since we're getting on this. I heard the exact conversation, and it's pretty cool that those guys kind of work together as a unit, try to figure things out. But I kind of giggled at Mark Tauscher's response. Tim, Mark Tauscher's response was, don't like the idea of the long snapper looking between his legs, snapping the ball, noticing that the plant leg was too wide. He said, not a ringing endorsement, in my opinion. So how do you feel about that and the fact that that Orzik noticed that? It's pretty cool if that is the case and all of a sudden that gets cleaned up. How random would that be, man?
Yeah, I mean, however you notice it, at least it was noticed, right? And kickers are a finicky bunch, superstitious. They have a lot of routine. They certainly don't always like people telling them about their game. But when you're a long snapper, someone in that unit with you notices something, you're gonna pay attention to it. And obviously, if that's the case where his plant foot's just too wide, then that's an easy correction, really. I mean, easy in the sense that you've identified the problem, you can make adjustments and work on your new positioning. Now, my question would be is his foot too wide, as in like he's got his heel and his toes out and his foot is wide, or is he literally planting that plant leg too far to the left on these kicks, which is causing him to
Tim, I could be wrong, but the way I understood it, it's too, like you said, the ladder there. He's too far away.
Okay.
So yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's what they were saying. Jason, you correct us if you heard it a different way, but pretty sure that's what they were saying, that he's not stepping into the kick enough, and that's forcing him to slice it right there. So push it right, I should say. But
awesome. Well, hopefully they let him work through this, and I know we've had a few auditions for kicker here at 1265 in the past few days.
right?
But let's see what happens going into this game Sunday. Again, like I always say, hopefully we don't have to rely on our kicker's leg to get a dub. Hopefully we just put tutters on the board all day. But I think Braden Arvison, he's a young kicker, man, and he's got time to work through these kind of things. And the first step is identifying the problem. So now you can make an adjustment. But yeah, it is kind of interesting that it took the long snapper to see it. You would think maybe Daniel Whelan would see it, on the hold, or, maybe Coach B on the sideline sees it, or they see it in film, but nope, your long snapper saw it. So if he's done nothing else for us this year, Matt Orzech has identified the problem with our kicker, and we're gonna get it corrected. So it's awesome.
I know this 2024, when we look back, we're still doing podcasts in 2 or 3 years. We're going to look back. 2024 is the year of the kicker, because, man, we have talked about kickers so much. I think it's hilarious. And we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I think it's important. Obviously, you got to get the kicking situation situated, for lack of a better way of putting it. But, Jason, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you. Greg Rice coming in hot said, did I understand you both yesterday that you did not hold 10 responsible for throwing Watson a hospital pass? He went on to say, if I was Watson, I would have lost a lot of trust in my QB. So first things first, Greg, no, we said totally the opposite, bub. So I need that stay off the damn weed drop there, Tim, if you got that in your pocket. We'll need to hit that. So, yeah, we were saying damn weed. We were actually responding to the people that were talking about Christian Watson being made of glass and fragile and weak and all those things that stupid fans like to throw around, and saying, no, but that's a hospital ball. That's on the QB there throwing that pass. And then what you went on to say here, if I was Watson, I would have lost trust in my QB. If you may have heard Jordan Love talk about it, Greg, he took complete responsibility for it. And I guarantee you this, Christian Watson will go up and do the same thing again. He'd try to make that catch again, no doubt about it. So I think the only divide that we have is within the fan base that are trying to, not that you're doing this, Greg, but there are a lot of people trying to paint this picture that Christian Watson is, like I said, made of glass. And then the others are trying to make it sound as if Jordan Love is reckless with the football and doesn't care about his receiver. None of those are true, I don't think so.
Yep. I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
Trying to make a play, right? You're getting your butts kicked in a game. You're trying to thread the needle. It happens. These are grown men playing a grown man's game. Let's be real. They're all hospital balls. I mean, guys can end their career at any point playing this game. So, it was just one of those freak things, man. It's not really on anybody specifically. Yeah,
no doubt, man.
Which shows you what type of dude our QB1 is, right? Because Jordan took full responsibility for it, putting him in that position. So it says a lot about our quarterback.
I completely agree. Back to the injury report here. Cooper Kupp on the Rams side obviously did not participate. He's pretty much out. Obviously, Puka Nacua is on the injured reserve, so they're going to be without their top 2 receivers. But, boys, don't sleep on Sean McVay, man. He's got a couple receivers already stepping in and filling that role. I won't say just fine. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, I think, are 2 legit number 1 wide receivers. Yep. But they're definitely going to be missed. You got to scheme around it for sure. Laurel Murchison, defensive end, was limited on Wednesday, did not participate on Thursday today. Darius Williams was limited on Wednesday. He's a cornerback. He was full participation today. And DeMarcus Robinson, wide receiver with the hip, limited on Wednesday, full participation today. So the Rams, they look healthy when you look at the injury report, but a lot of those guys are already on injured reserve, Tim. I know their offensive line's been struggling as well. I think that's kind of led to Matt Stafford playing maybe a little less effective as we're used to seeing him play. But anything else you want to hit on with the injury report there, man?
No, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, with them being down Nakua and Cooper Kupp, it doesn't mean that McVay is not going to be, scheming up tight ends and, guys, running backs, things like that. So, I mean, the offense is still gonna click and be a threat. But yeah, with the O-line being banged up, let's look for this Packers pass rush to get right, tee off again like we did against the Colts a few weeks ago. I want to see the pressures and the sacks step up a little bit here, and this is the perfect scenario, I think, for our defensive group to do that. So we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, let's move it along here. Emilio will be joining us here shortly. I can just sense that he's close by here. But defensive coverages through week 4, all right, during the 2024 NFL season. Just to take a quick glance, let's look at the Packers and what their coverage chart looks like, and then we'll also look at the Rams, kind of see what it is they like to run as well. Okay, so again, this is on defense, all right? These are each of these teams' coverages that they're running on defense. This was provided on Twitter. I'm trying to think of who tweeted it out. Football Insights tweeted it out. And obviously came from, there it is right there, table at @football_insights. Make sure you go give them a follow, all that good stuff. The data came from Fantasy Points, NFL, FASTR. All right, so here we go. Packers, 32% of the time they are playing cover 3. All right, cover 3 zone defense, 32% of the time. 20% of the time they're in cover 1 man. You've seen that number jump a little bit, Tim. Well, we sure seen it on Sunday, no doubt about it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Right. And then let's see, next would be cover 6 defense. Of course, that's half the pit field cover 4, the other half cover 2. That's at 14%. Also at 14% is cover 2 zones. So you got a very zone-heavy defense being called. Cover 3, cover 2, cover 6. Then cover 4 comes in at 13%. And then cover 0, which is a 0 blitz, only 1% of the snaps. So essentially what it shakes out to being with cover 2 man being less than 1%. 21% of the time you're in man coverage. The rest of the time you're in zone across the board. So EPA for the defense is now at a positive 0.03. That would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, roughly 17th in EPA allowed right now. And then EPA per drop back, I apologize. And then when it comes to the Rams, let's see kind of where the Rams are sitting with their defense. Boy, they're way down the list here, boys. They're next to last at a 0.31 allowed.
Let me bring that ticker down so you can see the bottom of that list there.
Wild that the Commanders are playing so good. Their defense is playing so bad, but Jaden Daniels is just dragging that team, and that's just wild as a rookie doing historic things. But, yeah, the Rams are next to last at 0.31. They're a very young defense. When it comes to coverage, they play cover 3 39% of the time. They play cover 6 18% of the time. They play cover 1 man 18% of the time, cover 4 zone 11% of the time, and 0 blitz 2% of the time. So, again, what you're going to see here a lot from the Rams most likely is cover 3, cover 6, cover 1 man is going to be the coverages they lean into the most, and you got 10% cover 2. So you're going to get your share of zone defense when you really tally it up. Man versus zone, they're running man coverage 20% of the time. So that's how that shakes out. A little bit less than we are. But anything surprise you there, boys? Emilio, we'll start with you here, man, as we're looking at these coverages. Yeah. It kind of feels like what we've seen, right?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, Jordan Love's been going up against it. Look at our numbers. I mean, we're running a lot of middle field close, so that will help them. I think the Rams have 12 on IR right now. So, this is a game the offense has to show up and take a little pressure off the defense so that defense can eat. Let's get them into like Hafley was talking about in his interview and stuff. Let's get them into a 2nd and 7. Let's get them into a 2nd and 8. Try to push that 3rd down so that we can let the D-line eat. And I think that's really going to help the stat people look at the numbers and kind of be happier with where they're at. But, like Hafley said, all that matters is us winning the game at the end of the game. It doesn't matter. He goes, yeah, if I could get them to be, as excelled as they are in their position, all the stats that they need or want. But, at the end of the day, it's a team game. We need to win the game and then move forward from there. So I'm ready for them to play the Rams. I think they got a good eye. When we played them last, it was 20-3. So
Yeah, he's. I think LaFleur hasn't lost the game yet to McVay 10, but man, that's bulletin board material too. We got to be careful. It could be a trap game, no doubt.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, this is kind of a must-win for both of these teams right now. We're looking to get right, and not drop another game here, and the Rams are desperately looking for a win. So, you can't rule anybody out in this type of matchup. So I think it'll be an entertaining game, to say the least.
Yeah, no doubt. Prince did have a chat just a second ago I wanted to hit on. He said, so Wyatt has avoided IR, ? As of right now, last I heard, he has not been put on IR, Prince. So it sounds like we dodged another one there. Hopefully that's the case. It sounds like he's definitely going to be out this week, I would imagine, possibly next week. But anytime you don't go on that 4-week IR, I know there were waiting tests too, so I don't know how that's going to shake out, whether if he goes on IR before Sunday, that counts as 1 week. I'm imagining that's how that works. But maybe a little later we'll see.
Limited.
Yeah, limited. There you go. That's all we got, limited. So there's your coverage. And since we were talking coverage, I thought this was cool. Matt Schneidman tweeted out, Packers DB coach Ryan Downard said Xavier McKinney texts him each week asking when he can get his hands on tape of his upcoming quarterback opponent.
Here's
You love
the
it.
guy.
when the DB coach is, this dude's hounding the heck out of me trying to get the QB tape, man, the QB cut up. I love it. Maybe we need to. Why don't we start a GoFundMe and get Xavier McKinney NFL Pro so he'll have everything?
Ooh.
Heard it from a fan right here.
McKinney, though, man, obviously just continues to impress. Hafley said earlier today he thinks he's the best safety in the game. And I think he's grading out 5th best according to PFF, which we know certain measurables you could say he's the best, others maybe not. He's definitely been all the difference maker for the Packers. And again, I always say I bet Joe Barry's sitting back somewhere going, these son of a guns couldn't get me that guy when I was there. I was having to deal with Jonathan Owens and Darnell Savage. Are you kidding me? So we actually had Hafley earlier today at the podium. Had a couple of drops here, so let's hit them real quick. First thing first, it says I tweeted out Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley talks about how Rashawn Gary is getting extra attention, chipping, and how they will continue to move him around to force more one-on-one reps. Now, I know there are some people that have somehow convinced themselves that Rashawn Gary is not getting double teamed. I don't understand. Anyway, didn't want to get too much back into the weeds with this, but just wanted to play what Jeff Hafley had to say today. Here he is talking about Rashawn Gary.
Speaking of Rashawn specifically, Rebs was in here yesterday talking about how much attention other teams give him, whether it's double teams or thumps. How challenging is it to still game plan ways to get him opportunities when teams are doing that to him?
I think it goes back and forth, right? We got to move him around. We got to see how teams are going to come out and protect against us, and then counter that and change things up in the game. If they're doing one thing to take them away, we got to find another way to get them involved. And then if they're going to try to find ways to take him away, then we have to have our other guys show up, or we have to scheme other ways to pressure opposite them and do a bunch of things schematically, which I think you guys kind of saw last week, right? We went into the game and, we didn't get as much pressure early. And I think it started to show up pretty much on second and third down in the second half of that game. But we'll continue to work and do some things with him where I think you're going to see him have success.
So there you go. Obviously, Hafley not concerned. And it's everything. The frustrating part about this whole conversation is there are some people that just press into analytics. And it's like you've got several different measurables you can use, right? Mm-hmm. And you can go off of pressures. You can go off of, pass rush win rate. The problem I have with pass rush win rate is you don't have enough data to determine, okay, what does that pass rush win mean? What's the situation? What was his assignment? There's all this. It's just let's throw all of the pass rush snaps into one big bundle here. And whether he's an E in the ET stunt and he's supposed to kind of sacrifice himself there, now he's walking right into in some cases, it's not even considered a double team, although he's going across the face of one guy into another dude. That's going to be counted as a pass rush loss, right? Mm-hmm. So really, you look at pressure percentage, things like that, and you got to take into account the tape. It's just amazing that the loudest people who want to throw one or two guys under the bus every year, they're just looking at data. They're looking at numbers. Well, nope, this says this says that. And if you were to ask them, okay, what exactly does that mean? Who graded that? who determined whether it was a true win or a neutral snap or not? They can't tell you that. Nobody knows because they're faceless people working for a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's important. Don't just buy into everything you hear. Go watch it yourself and make your own conclusion. That's why I was trying to tweet out videos and, all right, here's all his third down rushes. There's nothing's being hit here. Let's look at his third down rushes. And he was still impacting the plays. Now, is he as good as he has been in the past? Absolutely not. But the issue is no one on that defensive line is playing well right now, right? But to suggest let's throw the baby out with the bathwater, man, it just blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So everything he's talking about here, Emilio, we watched the tape. We've kind of combed through it. I know me and Tim, we did Chalk Talk the other day and all that. You were in here too.
Yeah.
Like, I don't watch Rashawn Gary rush the quarterback and go, man, he sucks this year. I don't see it. I'm seeing him battling through chips. I'm seeing him battle through chips and still get a hand in a throwing lane to where a dude has to change off platform. I'm seeing him tackle Aaron Jones inside the 5 on a goal line situation where he's fighting through a couple of blocks to make a stand there. Like, I just don't see it, man. I really don't.
And even Hef was saying, Rashawn isn't probably happy with where his production's at. He knows he doesn't, what was he saying? He doesn't need the excitement or he doesn't need to be coached up on this because Rashawn brings that energy every day. He comes with that attitude. I think that he really is going to explode here. It's just like we were all mad, or we all wanted the change of the defense, and then 2 weeks in, we're mad that the defense isn't working. We get 8 sacks. We're super excited the defense is working, and then by week 4, we're upset because we don't think it's working again. I mean, we gave Joe Barry 3 years. Hafley's had 4 games. We are leading the league in turnovers, and it's not anything that he's not trying to fix. He's over there. He's like, I got to coach him better. I got to do this, and that. I got to put him in a better position, and me putting him in a better position, coaching him better, giving him one extra step, trying to put him in an advantageous situation on the line, move him around, give him a different group, put him out there with LVN and Enigbare and just, all pass rushers, something to try to give him that explosiveness because it's not like Rashawn can't beat the dude in front of you. I know we were hitting that, but.
Yeah, no doubt. And we had a question here in the chat. Let's see here. Not that one. We'll get to it in a second. Greg Rice says, doesn't Gary lead us in pressures? According to NFL Pro and Next Gen Stats, quarterback pressure rate for the Green Bay Packers, number 1 on the team at 10.9% is Rashawn Gary. Now, why do I take that over pass rush win rate? Because that's the pressure being put on the quarterback. And you've got to take into consideration the fact that Gary is being chipped 5th most in the league, ahead of Myles Garrett, Micah Parsons, and Aiden Hutchinson. So teams are they're allocating more offensive resources to stopping Rashawn Gary than 3 pass rushers that, in my opinion, are way better than Rashawn Gary. So it should tell you, listen, the analytics suggest Gary all of a sudden forgot how to play football, okay? But other NFL coaches deem him such a threat that they're going to allocate 2 players to him on individual snaps. But, yeah, he sucks at football all of a sudden.
Right.
You got to let the scheme take hold. And, again, we don't know what they're being taught. Some people go, well, no, we're supposed to be a one-gap team now. We're supposed to be – I tried to warn people. Guys, we played a ton of one-gap last year because we were in nickel with single back sets that we were facing. And again, if we go through 2 years of this and people are still going to keep regurgitating the nonsense on Twitter that these hot button topics of, well, the data suggests this, watch the tape, understand what the scheme is calling for. Like, it's like the double team thing. When people say Preston Smith's being double teamed more than Rashawn Gary, watch how many ET stunts they're running with Preston Smith. An ET stunt is designed to take on a double team. It's not like teams are going, all right, guys, let's get the guard and the tackle on Preston Smith. Most double teams are manufactured by the defense. And again, I didn't even want to go down this trail, but
us tape guys, us tape watchers.
Isn't it amazing how that's literally an argument? And listen, you guys know we lean perfect. We lean on analytics too. We lean on all the numbers. We dive into this stuff on a daily basis. We're doing it right now. Like just asked, I hit on the pressure percentage. but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is trying to understand, what do we think the play call was? That's why we do chalk talk. I got so like, what this reeks of is the whole Aaron Rodgers argument in 2022. Like, you want to cherry pick one or two things and say he's all of a sudden horrible, right? And you don't want to mention he's got a broken thumb. You don't want to mention that the receivers led the league in drops that year. And you don't want to mention that a first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback in Kurt Warner's going, they screwed that choice route up. They scored that choice route up. But no, people were just making excuses for Aaron Rodgers. And it's every year we've got to pick one or two players or one or two coaches and go, they're the reason they're the reason we didn't go 18-0 or 17-0. They're the reason. So I just hate that whole rhetoric. I really do, man. It drives me insane. So there's my soapbox.
Because I was looking up some numbers, and looking at the defense versus quarterbacks that they played in the 4 games, there's been 83 completions on 130 attempts with 1,017 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 8 picks.
Yeah.
I mean, am I mad at that? No. I mean, I'm not. I'll pull up the Lions here. They're 4 games in, 105 completions, 158 attempts, 1,104 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So we've given up 4 more touchdowns, but we've also gotten 4 more interceptions. I mean, I'm not mad that where our defense is at. I think they're going to get better week by week. And like Hafley said, he learned a lot about the team when he saw that they were down 28-0 and they came back and only gave up 3 points in the second half and didn't, just keel over kind of thing. So I think that's huge for this team.
Yeah, Tim Reese says, stop speaking truth. No one wants to hear it. Ha ha, so good. So,
I'm not going to, so quit asking.
I've got to learn to tune that stuff out. But when I hear people say stuff like that, it immediately makes me think, okay, am I missing something, right? So I immediately go back to the tape. And that's where the answers all lies. We all have access to the tape. You can go watch it and see for yourself. Yep. And then I find myself coming back, and it's like, now the argument is slightly shifted to, like, remember last year, it was all about sacks. Yep. Like, I don't care about the pressure rate. I don't care about the pass rush win percentage. We need sacks. We need sacks. The pressure rate and the win percentage was through the roof, but we weren't hitting home with sacks, and it was Gary's a bum. Well, now we're not hitting home with the sacks, and he's literally occupying 2 offensive players, and now it's no, that doesn't matter. Now we got 8 sacks in one game, 8. And I remember, Emilio, we did the post or the show the next day, and then it was a couple of days later. Everybody's on cloud 9, and I'm thinking in my mind, the pass rush isn't that good, right? Like, but you hit home with 8, you need to celebrate it. Now we went from the pass rush is legendary to now they suck again. It's like anyway,
and we were up, right? Being able to tee off is a lot different than being down 4 touchdowns. So I think that. The production is there. I think that they can do it. We saw Rashawn take down, Jalen Hurts in 2.5 seconds. No one wants to talk about that one, but it was the first sack and he nailed it. So, and honestly, it's just like it's something that he can do, and I don't understand. Hafley even said it. He said, when you guys asked me about Quay 2 weeks ago, and I started smiling and said he's getting better, I stand behind that he's going to be improving there. He said the same thing about Rashawn this week. It's gonna, it's not like Rashawn isn't a talented player.
Yeah. And the reason being is because when you turn on the tape, you've seen Darnold getting rid of the football quick. Like, we're running cover 1 man. He's got a guy 6 yards of separation. What do you want Gary to do in that situation? And oh, by the way, that specific play, tight end chips him, sheds it. Defense or right tackle, one of the better right tackles in the league, by the way. He sheds him, gets a hand up, and almost bats the ball down.
You're talking about the Eric Stokes drag?
Yes.
Yeah.
The mesh play.
Yep. He was talking about that too. He said, to be honest, looking at it, I'd have to go back and look at that specific play to tell you what Eric Stokes could have done differently. He said, but we ran cover 1 man and we brought the pressure that needs to get, they got there, but it didn't get there like it needed to. So, I mean, it's one in itself that they both need to help each other to make the play.
Yep.
AFAM said, take a pay cut, Tim. He's talking about Rashawn Gary. He said, that's what I would like them to do. So, and again, that's what ends up happening when players get paid. All of a sudden, it's like now they're on this pedestal of, boy, they better be the second coming of Deacon Jones, or we're ready to run their ass out of town.
Yep.
Right? So,
Yep.
but,
I think you hit it on the head, though, too, Clayton, when you talk about metrics. A lot of people like to cherry pick metrics or cherry pick stats or, look in one direction to get their answers. And it's not a good way to dissect this stuff. I mean, like Emilio just said, Hafley's first comment was, I'd have to go back and watch the film on that.
right.
So clearly they're using metrics, right? They've got numbers, they've got stats, DVOA, all these, all our cute acronyms that we have now for analyzing football. But at the end of the day, they're going to look at the film, right? You got to do all of this. So I think you're cheating yourselves if you're, that would go the same for us. If we just, watch tape all day and we didn't pay attention to any of these numbers, we'd be just as guilty as the next guy being one-dimensional. So I think it's important that you try to educate yourself as a fan and get as much information as you possibly can and do a little bit of everything when you're researching.
And to be very clear, there is no one on this show saying the pass rush is playing good. We're not saying that. We're simply pointing out that everybody's piling on this one dude as if he sucks at football all of a sudden, and it's just simply not the case. It's not. Quarterback pressure, again, you can go look this up yourself. Quarterback pressure percentage, Rashawn Gary leads the team at 10.9%. Preston Smith at 8.7%, Kenny Clark at 8.7%, then it drops off significantly after that. Now, there may be some minimal snaps involved there that I was trying to sort through, but that's just kind of on the landing page here for the next gen stats. Now, the other thing, quick to pressure, which basically means you pressured the quarterback in under 3 seconds. Guess who leads the team? Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary with 3. So it's like, that statistic right there matters, because if they're sitting back there for longer than 3 seconds, or if the ball's coming out before 3 seconds, is that what it is? Yeah, under 3 seconds. The ball's coming out in under 3 seconds. Guys, there's nothing a defensive line can do there. That's why some teams like to play presses, because they're seeing them. They're getting picked apart. The pass rush can't hit home because people are playing the RPO game, things like that. So, again, it's just like Hafley said, they're using different tactics to move them around. Like you've seen him line up on the opposite side of the line, and they ran a TE stunt with a nickel blitz. Lo and behold, or not a nickel blitz, they ran a will fire off of a ET or a TE stunt. So the tackle fans out, Gary loops around. Guess what happened on that play? The guard gets a hand on Gary, and Aaron Jones sticks him in the hole, right? So again, he's having to work through the muddy water and then through an extra blocker in Aaron Jones. And guess what happens? Quay Walker hits home for a sack. And what'd you see Gary do? Pointed that finger up like, boom, that's a success. He's not worried about his personal sacks. On that specific play, it's not designed for Gary to come free. It's designed to muddy the water and Quay fire off that will and hit home with the sack. Mission accomplished. And again, the pass rush isn't playing great. They're not even playing good, in my opinion. But the fact that you want to rake the dude over the coals that's leading the team in pressure percentage is just beyond me. Oh, and like I said, the quick pressure is under 3 seconds. So the other big talking point here, too, is obviously Kenny Clark. Eric Sutherland, I'm not worried about Gary. Emilio's the one who stinks. You heard it from a fan right here. So here was Coach Hafley talking about Kenny Clark earlier today as well. I just tweeted out, defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley talks about Kenny Clark and how the, quote, lack of production stems from how they have game planned the teams they have played so far. Where have you heard that before? You know where I got it from? Matt LaFleur. He stood right at the podium and said it has a lot to do with the pressure, the pressure game plan that they're putting in place. But here was Jeff Hafley talking about that very thing in Kenny Clark.
Just what have been your impressions on Kenny Clark and how he's played just up to this point in the year?
I love Kenny. Practices hard every day. We played him a lot of snaps in the last game. I think he's helping us in the run game a lot. And I think we can do more things to help him get more production in the pass game. And some of that is of who we played in our first 4 games.
What did he just say? He must be lying.
I mean, I think everybody, last week we're up here and we're asking how we got 8 sacks. And now I'm sure everybody wants to know why we didn't get 8 more last week. I wish we had 9. I mean, that's how our league is, right? We got to keep those going. I think Kenny's done a good job. I think he's one of the best interior D linemen in the NFL. And I think as this thing shakes out, everybody's going to continue to see that.
So again, I don't think Kenny is playing great. I don't. But you got to really step back a minute and go. If everybody on the defensive line is showing numbers down this year, that's not a coincidence. You're not going to convince me Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Devontae White, and Carl Brooks, all of a sudden these guys just forgot how to play football. There's something going on schematically that they're seeing. It might be a throwing lane too. That's the other thing that many people don't take. I darn sure know that some of the analytics people share to prove their point isn't taken into consideration. The game plan may have been geared around taking away the A-gap throwing lanes, right? Like there's a lot of different things that come into factor. And that's why, once again, the answer is always in watching the tape. It's just hilarious that those people refuse to watch the tape. They just go, I know the tape guy said this, but the 17 analytic column says something else. Anybody can read numbers. Learn how to watch the tape and understand what's going on schematically. Anyway,
you want me to read off some numbers for you? 10th in the league right now. So I sorted by defense versus running back. We are 10th in the league, 72 attempts, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns for rushing, and then 23 targets, 19 receptions, and 130. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. 23 targets, 19 receptions, 197 yards, and 1 touchdown for receiving. Just given up strictly to running backs. I mean, that's not terrible. We've played Aaron Jones, and we played Swift. Or who's Saquon? There we go. I don't know what else.
Saquon, top 3 back in the league.
Dealt with Pollard as well.
So I'll take that.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side. For hour 2, we're going to continue with Jeff Hafley at the podium. All right. So it's funny you bring that up because Coach Hafley was actually asked about screen passes. Tweeted this out. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley was asked about the difficulty of stopping screen passes. Within his answer, he mentions how screens are one of the leading play calls for explosive plays in the NFL this season. Funny how some of those people don't think explosive plays are even important, but here we go. Here's Coach Hafley talking about that.
Jeff, what's the key to defending screens? Is it often play call versus play call, or is it more? Are there things like you could have done better physically in the Vikings game when Jones got out on some of those screens?
Listen how detailed this answer is. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at each screen individually. I mean, in one screen,
but all the screens on Madden look the same.
we're in a too high shell, and we should have 2 players vice it. On another one, we were in man coverage, and whoever had that guy in man stepped up and didn't cover his man out, and we should have been all over that one. And then there's coverages where you might be pushing a coverage over, and you're left 1-for-1 on the backside of a screen, and it's not a really good call, right? So you can find yourself like there's certain down and distances where, all right, I got a good feeling a screen is coming, and you can be dialed into it, and they can still block it up, but you got more people around the ball to give yourself a better chance to get the ball down. Then there's some that kind of surprise you a little bit in different field zones and different down distances where they haven't run them as much. And the key is a lot of the time, the key is the retrace of your defensive line, right? If you watch around the league, you watch the explosives right now around the league, not just in our games, which I try to watch and see how people are getting attacked and how people are giving up big plays and what are people doing to get those big plays. The number one thing that's coming up right now is screens. So they're not easy to defend. There's no
Do you guys know of another podcast that focuses on explosive plays? Like seriously, I've kind of been raked over the coals about that. Like you put too much stock in explosives. Like last year.
That's what wins ball games.
Bingo. And here's the thing. Clayton isn't smart. I've heard coaches talk about it. I've sat in on coaching clinics, and that's the number one focus. How do we stop explosives in the pass? How do we stop explosives in the run? And then the hybrid approach of stopping those screen pass explosives. Jeff Hafley's saying the tendencies right now across the league, screen passes are one of the highest rate of explosive plays in specific play calls going through the NFL right now. So you got to put focus into stopping explosives. Again, it's gonna limit the chances of the other team scoring.
You can't do that by blitzing the hell out of the quarterback every time, because that's exactly why these teams are calling screens. It destroys your pass rush.
Yeah, and the other thing too, you want to know what offenses lick their chops in seeing against when you're running a screen pass, man coverage. When those guys turn their back and take their eye off the ball, drop that screen pass in there, now you literally got a +2 and a +3 hat count on the perimeter. Woo! Big play waiting to happen.
And we're not in cover 2 shell a lot. You know, you pull up those numbers. We're in cover 1 or cover 3. Right. So we're closing down the middle of the field, but everything else is open. So we're kind of asking them to beat us, and they haven't exactly done it. No one, you know, since week 1, we haven't let them score any more points than the first week, 34, 31 this past week. The defense is slowly improving, and I don't, you know, we don't need to be worried about them not getting to that point right now. It's not playoff time. You know, we're climbing to the playoffs. It's about what this team's going to look like in December and where the defense is going to be playing then.
Yeah. The chat is cracking me up, boys. AFAM says, I would trade our past 4 years of first-round picks for a good kicker. Then Jason Yu says, AFAM is preaching. All right. Ari Ironminer said, there goes my kicker PTSD. And then Jason Yu comes back and says, Atlanta's kicker has missed 2 tonight, and he's a good kicker. Maybe I should calm down. Just some mental gymnastics going on in the chat around kickers. Hilarious. They're talking about Koo down in Atlanta. He's missed 2 already tonight. One, I think there was a penalty called. I didn't see the re-kick, but kickers miss. There's no doubt about it. But back to Hafley. Here we go.
Yes, we called this against the screen, and it's an automatic win. If they're executed really well, one of our guys has to win. You got to have someone set the edge, force it back inside, and then you got to have your D-line and everybody else retrace and run. They're good calls on offense. And now we've defended some really well. We've defended some of the same screen really well, and we've defended some of them not so well. But certainly the retrace, the recognition, myself trying to recognize it to help our team be in better position to defend it. And then by down and distance and field position, you got to try to be dialed in.
Love that dude, man. I'm telling you, he's going to pull it together. He's going to get this together.
Definitely.
Yeah. I have all the faith in the world, and it just got to get everybody on the same page. No doubt. Brambo in the chat. Y'all are weird demanding 100% perfection for kickers.
You guys want to see a season leader right now? That would be Brandon Narveson tied with Brandon Aubrey for 13 attempts.
Hold on, guys. I didn't see a super chat. We gotta give up. We can't give up the free kicker talk here. There was no super chat.
Hilarious, man. Oh, so again, just wanted to hear from Haf and kind of what was on his mind. Anything else you guys want to hit on the defensive side of the ball there? And we can come back to it later too, but anything there as far as what Hafley said, Emilio? You got gears grinding, Tim? Anything?
No, I think we've covered this pretty extensively. I think people need a little bit of patience. You know, we're 4 games into a season with a new DC, new scheme, new players. You know, we're 2-2. Things could be a lot worse, right? So
be a Bears fan.
Could be a Bears fan.
And I would have been either GM or moved the sticks, but they were talking about how having that relationship with your players as a coordinator can get you just like on the down to down thing or the game to game thing. Hey, you know, you're having an off day sort of thing. You know, what's wrong with, you know, or people are saying, you know, what's wrong with Rashawn? If Hafley's got that personal relationship with him, hey man, you know, is it anything that I've done, you know, that you're not liking in the scheme? Let's be able to have that conversation and not have a wall up so that everybody can get better. Everyone, you know, wants to make this defense improve.
Definitely. Coach Lynn says all the faith. Hafley's a great leader of men. Again, he's going to figure it out, man, no doubt. And the reason I'm not worried and concerned about the pass rush is because I know deep down inside, these guys didn't just all of a sudden forget how to play football. It's just like like I said, go back to the Aaron Rodgers talk. It's like, he was literally 65%. He was actually 66% completion percentage before he broke his thumb. All of a sudden, the accuracy tanks because he breaks your thumb. And these people that were just waiting for years to pile on him and say, oh, yep, he finally hit the wall. And it's just like, bro, he was 1% higher than his career average completion percentage. And I draw the parallel because it's important. You don't get rid of your best football players because they're in a slump or you're trying something different, or even the guys around them might not be performing at the highest level. The answer to the equation for me, once you understand and you accept the fact Rashawn Gary's getting chipped as much as he is, the pressure's got to come from somewhere else. That's the simple answer. That's why they dropped him into coverage a couple times too. They're getting him into coverage because imagine this: the offense comes to the line and go, okay, we got the Y and we got the tackle. They're going to chip 90 or they're going to chip Gary, right? Okay, cool, 52. All right, ball snap. He drops into coverage. Now you got two guys sitting over there with their finger in the air. I'll say that they're just kind of hanging out, right? And now you should be freed up to rush from another spot. The problem is in those other places, they're not really hitting home. What I'm noticing with the defensive tackles too is they're not truly just getting after the quarterback. You're seeing a lot of side-to-side stunts. Guys, there's a thing called run stunting too. You're seeing a lot of that. And that's what we're talking about with the game plan, to not give the whole answer away. But when you see these guys stunting on early downs, what they're doing is they're trying to muddy up that zone blocking scheme that Kevin O'Connell's running. That was what was going on there. And you guys can see too, Aaron Jones didn't run wild. He didn't run for $130. We kept him under 100 yards, right? And again, I know his yards per carry pretty darn decent, but you've got to choose to take something away, and you can't just pin your ears back and go. You just can't do that. But all right, so next thing, let's shift over to offense. Let's talk about coverages that offenses have seen this year. I thought this was really interesting. So let's start with the Packers. Again, this is on offense, and it's got their EPA per drop back in the passing game. All right, the Packers looked like they ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th in the league in EPA per drop back. Here are the coverages they're seeing the most. Cover 3, 37% of the time. All right. Cover 4, 32% of the time. Cover 4, 23% of the time. Then they're seeing cover 1 man 16% of the time. And then it goes on to cover 2 zone 13% of the time. And then cover 0, 7% of the time. Cover 6, 3% of the time. And then cover 2 man only 1% of the snaps. All right. So I wanted to point that out because think about what we've seen the most of. All right. And where Jordan Love's most comfortable. I think we've actually got this really cool metric here too. So a little chart that was put out by Football Insights. Shout out to them at @FBall_insights. Yards per drop back versus single and 2 high coverages. Darnold and Love splits must be coincidence. Look at this chart right here. So along the bottom, for those of you on the pod, running horizontally, you've got the 1 high or middle field close, all right? And again, the best part of this chart, if you're really succeeding at both, you're going to be in the upper right, okay? On the left, running vertically, is 2 high or middle of the field open coverages, okay? Jordan Love and Sam Darnold Sam Darnold is most effective. Jordan Love is second most effective when it comes to yards per drop back against single high coverage. All right. Middle field close. That could be cover 3 or cover 1 man predominantly. All right. And then against 2 high, they're well below average. So again, these teams that want to attack, push the ball down the field, the answer to slow that down is 2 high. It goes all the way back to where are the most explosive plays in the passing game across the league? It's, when you're passing the ball, you're going verts typically, right? So how do you slow that down? You show 2 high shell coverage. You can see that's affecting Jordan Love and Sam Darnold, but they're just ripping it out of the frame when it comes to yards per drop back against single high. Wanted to point that out because when you look at it from that perspective, right, and then you look at the defenses they face the most, cover 3, 32% of the time, cover 1, 16% of the time. That essentially makes up 48% of their dropbacks this year is against coverages that they're playing really well. If I was an opposing team, the way I would approach this is I would look at that and go, all right, look, they struggle against 2 high man, they being Jordan Love and the Packers. I'd be coming out and playing some, not 2 high man, I'd be showing some shell. I'd be showing cover 2 and cover 4, maybe even cover 2 man at times, and show that kind of look and actually play post snap with that look to slow Jordan Love down. Now, I guarantee you, Coach LaFleur and his coaching staff's got all this information too. So how do you combat that? You got to run them out of that 2 high look. That's how you combat that typically. Screen them out of it too, right? So I thought that was interesting though, just to kind of see the numbers and how effective they've been. And again, if we go to coverage per team one last time, what are the Rams running the most? 39% of the time, cover 3. 18% of the time, they're running cover 1 man. That stacks up. If they stick with their normal game plan, that stuff stacks up really, really nice for the Packers. They are playing cover 6 most in the league at 18%. So you're going to have to read that post snap. Make sure you don't get caught seeing ghosts out there. So thoughts on that, guys? Sorry to rattle off so much information. I just thought this stuff was kind of cool seeing this chart that Football Insights dropped.
Yeah, I'm just digesting all of this. This is amazing. Again, all of these things come into play. You know, I'm a tape guy. I'm one of those tape guys, but I like the metrics too, and it gives you another perspective on things. And I think you're right, man. If the Rams decide to kind of stick with their, you know, how they've been trending this year, it's going to play right into our hands, the way we run our offense. So you got to think that McVay and the boys are going to have a little bit of a different approach maybe against the Packers on Sunday. So we got to be ready for those, you know, unscouted looks and them switching things up.
Yeah, extra reps against our team would run in cover 1, cover 3, and he's obviously been able to, you know, to succeed in that. So I'll keep it moving, keep it cruising. And I'm happy that we have a running back that we can get ourselves out of a cover 2 situation if they try to shell it, you know, or cover 4, whatever, if they try to shell us in game.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's shift gears and look at the PFF preview real quick and kind of dive into, okay, how does the Packers offense, since we're talking offense right now, let's kind of hit on what to expect there. And here is how the matchups kind of shake out. We're going PFF grades here. Again, it's not everything. It's just another metric we can use. I want to give a shout-out to Sean Ryan, boys. That man is turning it around, put two decent games together. He is now the 27th highest-graded guard in all of football. To put that into perspective, he is only 5 spots behind Elton Jenkins. All right,
here's the guy.
Let's start from left to right with the front. Rasheed Walker, 65.3. Elton Jenkins, 67.9. Josh Myers has now dropped down to a 55.9. Then you got Sean Ryan, 67.4. Keep that in mind because Jordan Morgan is now back. I don't want to rock the boat. Sean Ryan creating some momentum. Let Jordan Morgan be that guy coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and then because he's going to be rusty too, same as Jordan Love was last week.
Yeah.
Zach Tom, boys, at right tackle, 85.4, 5th highest graded tackle in football. God, you love to see it. So
first team All-Pro this year, baby.
I see it. I really do, Tim. I see it, man. So on the defensive side of the ball for the Rams, their top pass rusher is definitely Jared Verse. If I remember correctly, was he out of Florida State? Am I thinking? Yep, Florida State. There you go. So his defensive grade is a 76.7. He's got a pass rush grade of 72.5. They'll most likely have him matched up most of the day against Rasheed Walker. I like that personally. I'm okay with that because Rasheed is pass blocking really, really well at 81.8. Again, his problem has been run blocking and obviously penalties that have helped bring that down as well. When it comes to run defense, Jared Verse is playing pretty solid, 73.1. So you got to keep an eye on that as far as trying to run the ball left there.
You think we'll, chip him and send a little help that way from time to time?
In the passing game, I wouldn't do it, Tim, because Rasheed Walker has played really well pass blocking. Now, listen, if you're going to go sidecar left, yeah, it doesn't hurt to have him take a shoulder in the gut there from Jacobs on his way out of the backfield, right? Or
Sure.
if you want to have Tucker Kraft, if you're going to run a lot of delays. See, that's where you got to kind of marry the whole game plan up with what it is they like to do defensively. Because if the game plan calls for a lot of Y leaks, then yeah, let him chip. That you would want it to leak out on that side for sure. But Zach Tom against Young on the opposite side, according to PFF, Byron Young is on that side. His pass rush grade is a 73.6, run defense grade 53.6. So not too stout in the running game. On the surface here, it looks like probably going to want to run right unless they try to mix and match. Also at defensive tackle, you got the rookie Braden Fisk, who's grading out as 64.6. And then
another Florida State guy. Holy cow.
Yeah. Opposite of him, you got Kobe Turner, who's grading out a 64.3. So not horrible, but really the matchup that you want to see here, I want to see run right, boot left. That's what I want to see. So you may see a lot of trips and Trey Wright to get some double crossers, maybe some flood concepts coming from that opposite side as you boot left. That's what's really going to neutralize that pass rush there. So thoughts on the defensive and offensive fronts here, boys?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Jared Verse, clearly their biggest weapon over there on the right side of their line. So I think there's some credence to what you're saying about, working those boots to that side into the game plan. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I'm looking at the linebackers in the secondary, and I can already smell the shot plays coming a mile away.
Right.
So, but it all starts in the trenches, right? You got to be able to, I've said this a million times and I'll keep preaching it. Play action's great. Running naked boots is great. Only if you got a run game. And you don't have to have 200-300 yards on the ground every time, but you have to show these defenses that you're willing to run at them in order to set up that play action. So I hope we get a heavy dose of that on Sunday against this Rams team.
Yeah, me too, man. All right, so moving along, let's kind of talk about the tight end position. Obviously, Tucker Kraft, he's the 47th highest graded tight end according to PFF. We know he's had his share of penalties. He also had the fumble. That's really going to sink that grade out of sight. A lot of people are saying Kraft's having a good year. Former players, I trust them, right? From what I've seen, I feel like he is kind of a tone setter for that offense. That touchdown last week, man, that was a lot of fun to watch. Obviously, he had that bad fumble along the sideline, kind of a freak play. But when a player punches a ball out like that, man, it's just tough. It's a tough situation.
That was just a great defensive play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, you practice, those guys practice that stuff all the time, and they don't punch it that clean. I mean, that was just a freak thing in the game. So just a hell of a play.
Yep. And then at the linebacker position, the Rams have Roseboom, I think I'm saying that correctly, 48.0, and then Reader, 57.9. Josh Jacobs is a 76.4 at the running back position, 16th highest graded running back in the league as it sits right now. Pretty good year going on there for Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love is now a 69.1, about to crack into the 70s. 18th highest graded quarterback. We all know that first half was real shaky last week coming back from that MCL. So that's how the linebackers look against the tight end and the running back. That matchup we're going to be kind of looking at there. When we go on to wide receivers versus their DBs. So let's just go with our receivers first. Romeo Dobbs, 62.6. That's 74th best in the league. Jaden Reed out of the slot. And keep in mind, guys, he plays flyer, he plays F, so he's going to be moving around a lot. There's going to be times that he starts in the slot, ends up as what would traditionally be called the Z. We'll have other times that he'll start in what would traditionally be called the Z, but we know he's flyer, we know he's F, so he's going to motion into the slot, things like that. 79.1. Jaden Reed is the 11th highest graded wide receiver in the entire national.
Here's the guy.
Dude is unbelievable. Dontavion Wicks. What's crazy about Wicks is he's struggling, right? 58.1. We've seen the drops, but he is I think they said he's got a route win rate where he's creating separation. He basically wins the route in coverage like over 80% of the time. If he gets the hands figured out, Tim, this dude's he's going to dominate, man.
He made a comment about, I forgot, I don't know if it was Bill Huber reported it. Somebody reported it that he made a comment about taking his eye off the ball before he completed the catch. And I think that's because, Tay Wicks is, concerned about the yak, right? He wants the yards after the catch. It's easy to kind of cheat. That ball is in the air. You think you're under it. You want to kind of glance away and make sure you're not getting pummeled by a safety over the top or something. And that's all it takes. You don't look at the ball for a second. It hits you in the chest. It happens. I don't really think it's a hands issue with Tay Wicks. I mean, we looked at him last year, man. That guy was catching everything we threw at him. So I think it's just a technique and an approach thing. I am looking forward to seeing him definitely getting more reps now with Scoot not being in the lineup probably on Sunday. I would think we'd get more Tay Wicks and probably some more Bo Melton this weekend.
Exactly, Tim. Talking about a guy that hasn't started a single game, stats wise, but is tied with Jaden Reed as our second leading scorer, only behind Narveson. So he's brought us 18 points, 4.5 points a game for a dude that doesn't start. You can't ask for more than that from him. And that's he had a slow start maybe, or a rough game in Tennessee, this and that. But when it matters, it counts. And you drop the easy one. We had a loss in that game. Sure, drop the ball in the loss. That's fine. I'll take that, because you're gonna want to better yourself. You're gonna want to make that catch in the in the game in the cold in the winter in December. So
yeah, definitely. Cheesehead Murph in the chat. Good to see you, buddy. He said, "Does Wicks start since Watson is out?" I imagine Wicks will get a significant amount of snaps. Last year they used Wicks more in the slot. It seems like they're moving him a little bit more outside this year. We'll see how that shakes out, but I kind of see Bo Melton as the closest thing to Christian Watson. They got similar speed. You can stretch the field vertically on those dagger concepts you like to run, and those Haas concepts, slot fades, things like that. Yeah, as far as Wicks, I think Wicks will get more snaps than Bo Melton. I really do. Now, it all comes down to game plan, too. Matt LaFleur may see something against his defense and say, you know what, Bo Melton's going to be more valuable than Dontavion Wicks. It could be that they're going to play more zone than man, and we know Wicks can create separation better than Bo Melton, and maybe he plays better in zone as opposed to man. In that case, let's put Wicks in the game, right? So it's just going to come down to game plan wise, and hopefully we'll have time to dive into some of those specific numbers and kind of see, all right, where's their weak spot? Is it zone? Is it man? That type of thing. But when it comes to their corners, though, I'm feeling good about this matchup, gang. And you guys know I'm usually pretty conservative in saying, I'll always say any given Sunday, obviously. But when it comes to their corners, White, 50.2. That's Tre'Davious White. Boy, he's a shell of his former self, no doubt about it, former first-round pick. 50.2. His coverage grade is a 49.3. Absolutely horrible. Then in the slot, they've got Quentin Lake. Pass rush grade is 70.1, similar to Keyshawn, probably blitzing out of that nickel. Might want to keep an eye on that. But his coverage grade, 53.6 for Quentin Lake. On the opposite side, you've got Kobe Durant. Coverage.
Who?
46.3 coverage grade. We should eat. There's no two ways about it. And you think, okay, well, what do they got at safety? They got Cameron Curl, who is a 51.1 coverage grade of 48.3. And then on the other side, you got Cam Kinchins. You guys remember me talking about how I wasn't big on Cam Kinchins in the draft? Everybody was raving over him, and we kept going back. I'm like, I just don't see it. I don't see it. He ended up being – where was he at on mine? He ended up being fourth best safety on my draft board. He is absolute cheeks. Defensive grade of 43 so far. Hopefully he don't turn it around this year. But there were people saying he's going to be the first safety taken. He fell all the way to the 100th pick there in the third round. So kind of feel like we did get that one right. When you look at this team overall, what you got, it can be dangerous because the best part of their defense is their front four. But when you look at everything else, we really should be able to manipulate the passing game this week. This might be a big J Love game here, guys.
Yeah. This is going to be a big O-line game. We need our O-line to show up. If our O-line gets it done, we don't shoot ourselves in the foot with dumb penalties. We play disciplined, mistake-free football for the most part. We should definitely eat on offense for sure.
I mean, think about it. The past two games, or the only two games, I should say, Jordan Love played in this year, the offense has scored 29 points. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I know we didn't win either of those, but it's not a bad thing that he can put up those kind of numbers. One, coming off the first game of the season. Two, coming off an injury. So let's see what happens when he actually get his feet under him for a little bit. Making moves for the week, and I'm ready for them to actually go up and make this game. They do need to come home with a win. I don't want to hammer that, but it's a game that they're going to have to show up and bring back to Lambeau.
Cheese curds for everyone. Let's eat.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Okay, are we not going to talk about the new Culver or the bring back of the Culver's burger that they have? The Culver's curd burger?
Oh, the curd burger's back.
Oh,
my gosh.
Is it back, Tim? I haven't made my way over there yet, but I keep driving by there. Mm-hmm.
So you got a Culver's down in the Knoxville area?
I got one in town in Maryville.
For real? See, we don't have one up here.
Oh, you're missing out. Come on down. I got you.
Maybe they need one.
I used to a couple years ago. I would just go for Sundays. Packers game. I'd be like, all right, I got to go get some Culver's and watch the game. And you're good to go.
There you go. They might need running water for that establishment. That's why we don't have one up here. We got to get running water and electricity before they'll let it happen. But Chewy with the super sticker. Thank you so much, Chewy. We appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for supporting the stream there, man. He says kicker chat. All right, well, can we drum up some kicker chat here real quick?
All right.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Chewy, you can get a refund if you want, buddy. I'm tired of talking kicker. I'm tired, boss. I'm tired. Remember Green Mile?
I got you some kicker talk here. Kick returns. Jaden Reed. 3 returns, 15 yards, longest of 12, 5 yards of return. Keyshawn has only had 1 return in his games, and Narv has made every extra point he's attempted this year. So, bam. Let's avoid the field goals.
What a segue. What an absolute segue by Emilio and Chewy. Check this out. So ML Football tweeted out, the NFL and its competition committee are considering moving the touchback spot on kickoffs to the 35-yard line per the WAPO. Yeah, what are y'all laughing at? Did I miss something?
I'm just laughing at that. Like, they're trying to get more teams to return the ball. Then
Right.
why the hell would you move it to the 35-yard line? How does that incentivize a team not to take a touchback? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I think what they're saying here, let me see here. Let's think about it here a bit. Let's workshop this. I think what they're trying to do, Tim, is
So
they're
if you
trying-
can kick it through the end zone, you get it. They're going to set it to the
Yes,
35. I feel like you could just move the kicker back 10 yards and we wouldn't have to worry about any of it. I'm not even joking. Like, move the kicker back 10 yards. I mean, his leg isn't going. It's not every time he kicks it. It's like, all right, he can make it through the uprights. That's cool. But if you kick, you move the kicker back 10 yards. It's like, okay, I can't kick it 90 yards down the field.
All
But
this screwing around with the rules and all these changes, and they're going to end right back up to where we used to be, old school.
I wouldn't
Give
be
them the damn ball into 20.
I think here's what they're trying to do. Obviously, they're trying to incentivize the kicking teams to not kick the ball in the end zone, right? And the whole idea around this was they wanted to save the kicking game. They didn't want the kicking game to become even more obsolete. And the reason that they changed the original rules is because the data suggested that if you didn't impose this new kickoff rule where guys couldn't get a running start, right, then what would happen is it would reduce the concussions. It would reduce those high speed impacts that you were seeing on kickoff returns. So that was the whole purpose behind it. I just think it's hilarious that they were like, yeah, you give it to them at the 30, these guys will stop kicking it in the end zone. And then the league was like, the hell we won't. We're just going to keep kicking it right into the end zone.
why would they not think about moving the kicker back 10 yards and making him use his leg every time? I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a great point, Emilio. I really do. And I haven't really thought about it. I haven't thought about that. I just feel bad for the kickers because they're getting raked over the coals with their not 99% field goal percentage, and now they're going to have to kick it from Timbuktu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want some more kicker talk, Chewy? Narv on his kickoffs, 22 kickoffs, 1,422 yards, 15 touchbacks, 68.2% touchback percentage with a kickoff average of 64.6 yards.
There you go.
There's
What does all that mean, Emilio?
nothing. I don't know what to tell you. Move them back 10 yards and let them kick it off again and see what happens.
Radio it in, boys. Kick it off again. Let's try it one more time. So Matt Schneidman put this tweet out about it. He said, 16 of the 17 kickoffs Keyshawn Nixon has been back for have gone for touchbacks. After he made back-to-back All-Pro first teams in 2022 and 2023, the one he returned late against the Eagles, he shouldn't have. So basically, Keyshawn hasn't had an opportunity to return a kick. That's why I'm rooting for this rule change. One of the reasons we paid Keyshawn, the main reason we paid Keyshawn, was obviously his return ability. They have completely neutralized that. Now, I feel like he's played pretty decent in the slot. That's just me personally. I haven't even looked here. I'll take a quick glance. I want to see what his grade is now. Maybe he has taken a step back. Who knows? But let me do this real quick. 62.1. So that's cornerback grades, okay? I want to say he was grading out somewhere around 17 or 18 in the league in slot corner. Not that bad, to be honest with you, but his true superpower, obviously, kick return. If they change this rule, guys, and they do bring it out to the 35 and teams start kicking to Keyshawn, it's going to be a big, big advantage for the Packers. I know we like to laugh about this and everything. I think it's funny, too, that the NFL is like literally throwing their hands up when the obvious answer is right in front of them. But I hope they change this rule to the 35. That's just me personally. So that all makes sense. Is that enough kicker?
Someone on the train. Let's go, Jason. I love it.
There you go.
Move the kicker back 10. That's what we need to start tweeting out the NFL.
There you go. That's my response right there, man. It does make sense now that you mention it. It really does. But, man, that's going to – could you imagine them fielding that? If you move – you're saying move it back to where, Emilio?
So I would say move the kick. Where are they kicking from right now? They're kicking from the 35 or the 30?
I can't even remember. The rules changed so many damn times.
Okay, so I'd say move them back to the 25 or even the 20 and just let it go because they have the leg to kick it through the uprights now. You move them back 10 yards, you get the end zone back. Then a couple of them can still land in the end zone 3-4 yards deep. All right, don't put my hands up. I don't want to touch it. But then you're actually asking them to be a little bit sharper with their kicks, put it in the landing zone, all that stuff.
I got you. I see what you're saying. All right. There you go. There's your kicker talk. Can we move on? Y'all good with that? Thank you, Chewy. Appreciate you, man. Let's take a quick glance here. We're going to hit the PFF defensive preview tomorrow, but let's look around the league here for Week 5. Shout out to Nerding on NFL on X. They put this graphic out every week. I absolutely love it. So here's the matchups we've got this week. Let's focus on the NFC North first. Okay, we got in the Sunday morning slot. They're going to be playing over in London, I believe. The New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, is going to be playing the Minnesota Vikings at 9:30 Eastern time. So that's 8:30 in the morning on Sunday. You're going to get to watch and root against the Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to waking up, grabbing a cup of coffee.
And say, let's go AR8.
Get Mandy downstairs making some biscuits and gravy homemade. Let's go, man. Watching the Vikings get boat raced. That's what I'm hoping to see. Will it happen? Probably not. They're playing good football. But moving along, the next game in the 1 o'clock.
That's going to be you. I'm going to be like.
Good morning.
I got to get me one of those dinosaur shirts, man. I need one.
Ooh.
Emilio's got one you can borrow.
I do. Yeah, you probably can borrow that one.
He's got one in red, blue, and white. So in the 1 o'clock hour, you got the Carolina Panthers at the Chicago Bears. And again, that's 12 Central for those of you on Lambeau time. So there's my morning, boys. Vikings first thing in the morning, then rooting against the Bears in the 1 o'clock window. And then where are the Lions? Are they in that same window too? Why am I not seeing the Lions here?
They played already.
Oh, they got a bye week. No, they got a bye week this week. Okay. Yeah. So the bye weeks are Detroit Lions, Los Angeles Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Tennessee Titans. So that'll kind of tie up, like I said, morning slot Vikings, 1 o'clock window Bears, and then the 4:25 kickoff, 3:25 Central Packers at the Rams. That's going to be awesome there. So anything you guys want to hit on here, anything catch your eye as far as the Week 5 schedule? I love this graphic, man. Gets you all the important information. By the way, most offensive yards per game, Packers are now third in the league at 410 yards per game.
You stole my thunder. That's what I saw right there. That caught my eye.
My bad.
Packers right there between the Lions and the Niners. Offensive yards are ticking upward. Big shocker. We got our QB1 back, and we're starting to get that output. And I think we're going to see a ton of yards on Sunday against this banged-up Rams team. Like I said, if our O-line plays well, I think we can air this ball out on Sunday.
Yep. And I was just looking at the most rushing yards. We played against the number 3 running back, and we've played against the number 5 receiver. So our defense has gone up against some impressive talent, even though, you're not saying that, each quarterback is lights out, but, they're playing against some good football players, right? So I'm not mad about where we're at. I think that they are going to improve, and I think Hafley's going to make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. He's referring to Saquon Barkley with the Eagles, 435 yards rushing, 6 yards a pop right now. And then our boy Jonathan Taylor, 349 yards rushing, 4.8 yards.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah, I missed that one. And then I was saying Jefferson for receiving at 358 yards for 17.9 a clip.
Yep, there you go. So face some good talent already, no doubt about it, man. And as far as, like we said, offensive yards per game, the Packers are third in the league right now at 410. And then least yards allowed per game, looking at that measurable there just to kind of get an idea. The Jets are third in the league at only 256.5 yards per game allowed. Defensively, it gives me a lot of hope because the defense we're running, it's cut from that same cloth, right? The difference is we don't have Quinnen Williams in the middle, right? Kind of anchoring that. And obviously Sauce Gardner on the outside. We were without Jair last week. Sounds like we're going to have him this week, man. I'm looking forward to watching this one. So when you look at the standings, man, this NFC North, Tim, you said it weeks ago, bub, going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. This is arguably the best division in all of professional football. Vikings lead the way at 4-0. You got the Lions in second place at 3-1. We're in third place, winning the tiebreaker over the Chicago Bears, both of us sitting 2-2. So going to be really, really interesting to see how the North shakes out. But really, the goal every year, guys, 10 wins. They always saying win 10 and you're in. Now there's an extra game. You might want to stretch that to 11, but 10 will typically get you in. Sometimes 9 will. But
9 got us in last year.
Right.
Barely.
Yeah. So, and again, I've got us right now in that 9 to 12 range. I could see 9 wins. I could also see 12 wins. We'll see how things shake out, how this defense continues to come together. And if the offense keeps churning out points, man, you're always going to have an opportunity to win the game. You know, Amelia, I know you heard Jeff Hafley's presser earlier too. One of the things that stood out to me was him talking about, I mean, we had a horrible first half. We made adjustments, but we only gave up 3 points in the second half. Like really, really clamped down, you could see. And they said Brian Flores was losing his mind on his defensive players because they could do nothing to stop the Packers offense in the second half. That momentum hopefully carries over into this next game.
And that's where I was saying he said that he found out a lot about this team with that. You know, they didn't give up being down 20 or what was it, 21 points or 28 up at some point. Yeah. So after half, they came back and they didn't quit. That's huge. That's something, you know, you're talking to your high school team like, hey guys, we are getting smoked out there. Let's not keel over and give up. And then the 28-0 turns into 56-0. And then, you know, it's can we get the clock running? So I'm happy that the team didn't do that. They showed up, they played, they finished it out, almost won it, and didn't give up on trying to turn the ball over, trying to, you know, forcing completions, force pressures, all that stuff. It's all going to lead to, at the end of the day, what we're trying to get is a win on the board, and then we can tally it to our total for the year.
Definitely. And again, shout out to Nerdin on NFL for that graphic. Appreciate them so much. That's just an awesome graphic. Mrs. Green in the house says, "Oh, biscuits and gravy will be a must in this house."
Oh, definitely.
Mrs. Green, I'm telling you, when we come up for the draft, what we need to do one morning at the house. We're going to go. You guys are going to have to take us to a local, show us around to a local grocery store. We're going to get everything she needs. Mm-hmm. And Mandy is going to make biscuits and gravy for everybody at the house that morning for breakfast. I'm just going to tell you something. Take your blood pressure medicine. Take your blood thinners because this is not healthy. Okay. We do have people sign a disclaimer when they eat this, but oh my God, it's so good. So good. Best biscuits and gravy I've ever had, Mandy. Her nan that raised her, it was her great aunt actually raised her, and she taught her how to make biscuits and gravy with tenderloin and fried apples. Oh my God. Anyway, what's that got to do with our Patreon group?
Mrs. Green makes good biscuits and gravy too.
If you scan that QR code in the upper right, we're going to put you in a drawing to win biscuits and gravy. All right. From your local establishment, wherever you get your biscuits and gravy. Now, if you scan that QR code in the upper right, that'll send you to our Patreon group, or you can go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access, where we got an awesome community forum up there. Got questions for the show section where you can ask questions. We'll get them on the show just as if they were a super chat, that type of thing. If you're a member of one of the 3 tiers, you also get entered into drawings to win, obviously, memorabilia, things like that. I know Chet actually reached out in the process of mailing him the autographed Antonio Freeman jersey. So appreciate him. He was a YouTube member. So if you're a YouTube member, you get entered into those as well. So appreciate it. Just a way for us to get back for those who are supporting us. Also this week, the giveaway is going to be probably my favorite to date. It's going to be a picture of Mark Murphy autographed that says 65% on it. All right.
65%. 65%. That's what we.
Shout out to Trevor for donating that to the show. Him, Bates, Mr. Larry, everybody, they've donated memorabilia and stuff for us to give away on the show. I just absolutely love this community, man. You guys are awesome. So I'm going to make sure it was Trevor. I keep saying I think it's Trevor.
That's one I'm trying to win. That's one I'm low key just trying to get on the wheel and trying to win that one. So we'll see how it spins out. I know Prince is already on top of it. It is rigged, definitely.
No doubt. You kidding me? Yeah, it was Trevor. Yeah. So Trevor Anderson, again, thank you so much for that, man. He said he was taking no for an answer because I kind of push back when people try to donate stuff like, man, I don't want you to give that away. But when he said it was Mark Murphy signed a picture at 65%, I said, you got 6 of those? I'll take them all. Love it. All right. Anything else, fellas? Anything else y'all want to hit on before we wrap up here?
No, I think we covered it all for today.
Yeah, this was fun, man. It's a good show. We learned a lot, and so we'll
not bad for a bunch of tape guys, right?
Gave the people what we want. They gave them kicker talk. We got a little bit of everything.
We had some next gen stats queued up too. Something else we were thinking about doing moving forward is going to NFL Pro and kind of. I almost put in a filter of all Rashawn Gary snaps so we can kind of watch them together and watch the tape together. The issue with that is it doesn't make for a good podcast. And this show started as a podcast. I want to make sure we're always, first and foremost, thinking of those who are listening on the pod. We appreciate y'all more than you know. Thank you for sitting through the ads, all that stuff that's necessary for us to run a podcast. But really, really appreciate y'all's support. So that's why I shied away from it. It's the reason I kind of get a little with Chalk Talk, because I know it's hard for us to describe for people on the pod exactly what we're talking about. But again, Chalk Talk is definitely one of the more popular things we do here. So a couple of chats and we'll get out. Randy Cleavers, we need more interior push. Talking about the interior pass rush. Absolutely, man. As long as they're chipping Gary and chipping even Preston from time to time, you got to get that pass rush somewhere else. I want to see Carl Brooks step up. If Devontae Wyatt's going to be out for a couple of weeks, I think Carl Brooks is probably going to be that next man up. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see him get his opportunity because he's not been that bad. He really hasn't this year early on.
And it's crazy because, like, last year we talked a lot about Colby Wooden. Hasn't even played a snap this year.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like we had all these expectations and everything, and we're not even rotating the D-line that we had last year, looking at it like that. Aaron Mosby, Brent Cox. None of these guys have really made those statements out there. So,
yeah, definitely. All right. So there's that. And then we had another chat here. Professor Cake says, I hate people that call for players' jobs. Like, okay, how about I call up your work and demand they fire you? Hey,
that's the truth.
I feel that. I feel that. And people, they're professional athletes. They get paid enough. They're big boys. They can handle it. I think the thing that makes me cringe the most, Professor Cakes, is when people talk like this just isn't good enough and there needs to be changes. It's like, slow down there, Socrates. I know you got this whole football game thing figured out, but you know what I mean? They make it sound like they're in the office up there at Lambeau. Like, all right, get them in here. I'm going to have a talk with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to straighten up. Like, God almighty. It just –
But yeah, you're going to walk up to Rashawn and go, man, I can't believe you only have a 10% win percentage, Rashawn. What are you doing?
This is unacceptable, Rashawn.
Yeah. I wouldn't have said anything along those lines when I saw him walking to the bus.
Bro, I wish we could take the top 5 most critical people, right, that are always doing these rants and just line them up and go, all right, tell them what you said.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. I would love.
We're going to give him some.
No cameras around. No police. Go ahead, tough guy. Tell them what you said.
They always started with, I'm not trying to drag Rashawn or I'm not trying to, bag on him or anything because of how he's performing, but it's always whatever comes after but.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like when people are like, well, with all due respect, and then they do something completely disrespectful.
Yeah. Do you think you could say what was it? It said, do you think you could just say anything because you said with all due respect?
Right.
What? Anyway, Greg Rice, LOL, Socrates. There you go. I don't even know who the hell Socrates was, but he said, I'm sure he was smart. Prince in the chat. 2-0 Brewers, bottom of 8th. Prayers welcome. Let's go, man. There you go. Brewers trying to get it done tonight. Obviously, man, had a really, really cool season. Some historic stuff happening there with the way they turned it around. So, boom. Looks like, yeah. I like this. Cheesehead Murph, YouTube Premium, no ads. I'm telling you, boys, best money you'll ever spend. If you watch YouTube a lot. If you don't worry about it. But, man,
right.
I tell you, I love it. Absolutely love it. So, all right. Anything else? We good, boys?
Good to go.
All right. We're out of here. Tim,
help me. For those of you listening on the pod,
thank you for making us part of your day. We appreciate y'all. Seriously, thank you for supporting us. You're awesome. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Let me hit you with
no block, no rock.
Go Pack, go.